Hi there. Today, I and my buddy Joe English will be working on answering some ACT English section test questions. So, without further ado, let's do this together, right? And the passage we'll be working on today is entitled A Blessing in Disguise. A Blessing in Disguise. All right. Last spring, I had been fortunate to be chosen to participate, blah, blah, blah. So, one of the markers of the past is something like yesterday, last week, last month. And so, in this case, we should put the tense in the past simple. There's no need to put it in the past perfect here. So we should say, I was fortunate to be chosen to blah, blah, blah. So the best answer for one is C. Now let's move on to two. And if we read two, the moment I arrived in Paris, I was greeted by a nice French couple who would become my host parents. Yeah, that sounds correct. There's no need to change it, so there no change is the best answer. If we go through the other answers, couple that, couple Jane and Christine, or John and Christine, couple, comma, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the best answer is couple who would become my host parents. So F is the best answer here. Remember, the no change is a good answer, and it can be the best answer in many questions, but you need to be sure that it is the correct answer and also quickly go through the other choices. Okay. Moving on to number three. The bit of French I had taken in high school began boring from my mouth. Speaking the language would only become more natural over the course of the semester. So, yeah, we know that the first sentence is an IC, a complete IC, and then he puts a period here, and then speaking the language would blah, blah, blah. This is another IC. So yeah, one of the good ways to separate two ICs is by putting a period or full stop. So no change here is the best answer. If we put a comma in between them as in B, it would be wrong. If we don't put any punctuation, it is also wrong because this would be a run-on sentence. You need to put at the boundary of each IC or independent clause or complete sentence, either a full stop, period, or a semicolon, or sometimes a colon. If we want to put a comma, it has to be a comma with one of the fanboys, and, or, nor, and so on. Okay. Other than this, we should not use a comma between two ICs. Now moving on to number four. Let's read number four. Every day thereafter, I eat breakfast with the two of them. Okay. So it should be I would eat breakfast. Okay. Because he's telling a story that in the past he started to eat regularly. So he would say, I would eat, they would become my host parents, etc. So J is the best answer for four. I would or I would eat. Instead of I eat, I would eat. Okay, because he is talking about something in the past here. Okay, moving on to number five. With the two of them, so he would say, I would eat breakfast with the two of them, so we would all go our separate ways. It's not so, yeah, because we're not talking about a cause or reason or anything. He's saying, I would eat breakfast and then we would go our separate ways. So then is the best answer, which is D, right? Moving on to number six. Let's read the sentence. There had been a death in my host parents' extended family. So here it's an example of possessive. So host parents, plural. So we should use a comma, only a comma after the S. And so H is the best answer here. Host parents and then apostrophe, not comma, sorry, apostrophe, and extended family. So we should not say parents as in G because we're talking about both parents. And since they are plural, when we get the possessive for that, we just put an apostrophe. There's no need to put another S after the apostrophe. So the best answer is H for number 6. How about number 7? Okay. They had to travel outside France for several weeks, so tending to all the business that arises. That doesn't sound correct. To tend is a better choice. Why should they go outside France for several weeks? To tend to all the business that arises from an unforeseen death, right? So B is the best answer for 7. And it is one sentence. They travel, blah, 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 to tend to all, blah, 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 till unforeseen death. It's just one sentence, so there's no need to put any punctuation, and there is a need to change tending to tend. Because if you put ing on the verb, it's not a verb anymore, it's a gerund, and a gerund equals a noun. It can be used as a subject or as an object, but not as a verb anymore, right? So the gerund is a noun. Okay, so the best answer, as we said, for 7 is B, right? Let's now move to number 8. I had to move out of one family's house and into another, so I'd have to repack my suitcases. So no change, or which would probably be about the same size, or which I hope would be closer to the supermarket, or omit the underlined portion. Yeah, omit the underlined portion. So moving from one place to the other entails rebacking your suitcase. So there's no need to say this again one more time. Remember, on the ACT or SAT, there's no need for repetitions. Being short is better as long as the idea is clear and as long as it is the best answer. So yeah, here it is the best answer, H, 8H. Okay, sorry, J. Omit the or underline portion. It is J. Yeah, I just said you need to omit that portion. So this is J, choice J. Okay, let's move on to number 9. Yes, let's read number 9. Yeah, I could share a bedroom with an English speaker or someone who didn't speak English. Or someone who didn't speak English. To avoid the temptation to speak my native language, I asked not to be placed with an English-speaking roommate. Okay, so what is the best answer here? The best answer here is the shortest answer, D, English speaker. I could share a bedroom with an English speaker. However, he explains later, to avoid the temptation to speak my native language, I asked not to be placed with an English-speaking roommate. So he says, I could. That was an option, but I didn't because of blah, blah, blah. So instead of leaving 9 as it is, a very long sentence, and there's no need for that, we would just clip it to English speaker. So D is the best answer for 9. Because in the following sentence, he says, yeah, although I had the option of sharing my room with an English speaking roommate, however, I opted not to because I didn't want to speak my native language while being in France. So D is the best answer here. Let's move on to number 10. All right. All right. I introduced myself to my new roommate, Paulo, a Brazilian, the same age as I, whom I was surprised to find playing one of my favorite CDs on the stereo. Okay. So I think no change here is the best answer. Yeah, whom I was surprised to find because it is in place of the object in that sentence. So we use whom, as you know, for or in place of the object. We use who in place of the subject. In everyday speaking or in everyday speech, we use who for both. However, on standardized tests and informal situations, we use who in place of the subject, we use whom in place of the object. So the best answer here is F, no change. Let's move to 11 and let's read 11. Remember, 11 has a prompt, so we need to read the prompt. Given that all the choices are true, which one provides the most relevant information with regard to the narrator's friendship with Pablo? So he wants the most relevant information. In just a few hours, we knew we would be attached at the heb for the rest of the term, right? Um, would this be the best answer? Yeah, it sounds like that. Or he hadn't heard of a lot of my CDs, though. We didn't have a lot of classes together, but at least we like the same music. Or I didn't speak Portuguese, so it took some time to start to understand each other. Yeah, the most relevant information then would be no change A, right? In just a few hours, we knew we'd be attached at the heb for the rest of the term, right? We'd be together all the way through. Yeah. So 11A is the best answer. Let's now move to 12. Yeah. What my favorite part of the trip was, they are always surprised to hear me talk about my Brazilian friend Paulo. Yeah. And the scores, blah, blah, blah. So the point here is that they use commas between about, before about, my Brazilian friend Paulo, and after, as if it's a parenthetical. But I think the best way here is to go without any punctuation. So G is the best answer. If you just read it, they are always surprised to hear me talk about my Brazilian friend Paulo and the scores of blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So there is no need for punctuation here. Remember, if you have all the choices, including punctuation, and one does not include any punctuation, this might as well be the best answer, but you need to read the other choices to make sure. Here, this is G is the best answer, and it doesn't have any punctuation, while the other choices has. So G is the best answer. Let's now move to 13. All right, read it from the beginning. Yeah, this is the beginning. I love people, comma, how they end up being so familiar, comma, but are so different. Okay, all right. I love people, no change is not the best answer. I love how people seem to so different and are so similar. People seem so different, comma, so I love how they blah, blah, blah. No. D, I love how people can seem so different, comma, but end up being so similar. This is the best choice here. All right. Yeah. So we should not just put the comma here after people and then say how they end up, right? The best way to explain that or to say that, the better punctuation is in D. I love how people can seem so different, comma, but end up being so similar, right? They are two independent. They are just one sentence, and there's one comma in between, so it's one sentence. The other one end up being so similar is not an independent IC, so you can put a comma even without using the fanboy but here, right? So D is the best answer because it is the better punctuation. Let's move to 14. The most valuable The most valuable lesson I gained from studying in France wasn't just to respect the French people, but to respect all people. So that sounds correct. Yeah. The most valuable, that's what we say. We don't say the most enjoyable lesson. We don't say the most supportive lesson. So the best answer is 14. This is like word collocation, right? We don't say the favorable lesson or the supportive lesson, but we say the most valuable lesson. So 14, F. Now, 15 has a prompt. Let's read the prompt first. Which of the following sentences, if inserted here, would best conclude the essay as well as maintain the positive tone established earlier in the essay? France is an interesting place once you grasp the language. No, because the language wasn't, he just studied the language at high school, as he said. B, I would recommend an exchange program to anyone who wants to experience foreign cultures. Yeah, that's a better way to end that essay. And then high school is going to be quite boring now. No, it will be nice to graduate at the end of the semester or the year. No. So B is the best answer, actually. He is supporting or inviting people to go on an exchange program because this was very positive for him and it's good to get to know the other cultures. So this is the best way. B is the best answer to conclude this essay. Thank you and good luck for people who are taking the ACT in April, and I'll see you in the next one.